was deciding what to speak about today, it took me so long to narrow it down, because how do I pick just one way in which I am not equal to my brother or my father or my male friends? How do you pick just one thing to be angry about in a 3 to 5 minute slot? It's almost impossible. And then I thought about what it was that the men and women of 1916 went out and fought for. And they fought for the idea that Ireland belonged to Irish people, and that the people who lived in Ireland should be the people who get to make decisions about what happens in Ireland. And I thought that's pretty much it, really. We just need to scale it down a little bit. I'd like to live in an Ireland where people recognised that because I live in my body, I am the only person who should get to make decisions about that body. That I am best placed to decide how I dress myself in the mornings, whether or not I want to have children, like how much makeup I'm going to put on my face, who I get to sleep with on any given night. Because I am tired of having to constantly battle to wrest control of my body back from people who think that they get to decide what I do with it. Whether that's when I am walking to college and I am made to feel unsafe because somebody thinks that it is okay for them to shout at me about what I am wearing. Whether it's the fact that in a nightclub, somehow my body is a free-for-all, it is something that you can grab without asking my permission. Or whether it's the fact that if I get pregnant tomorrow, I don't get to decide whether that's something I want to go through with. Because at that point, the government steps in and decides to exert its property rights over my uterus, which is an area where, frankly, I don't think they should get to make any decisions. And I am tired of constantly having to fight this battle every single day. Because I learned at a very early age that I was not in control of my own body. And I lost my fear of public speaking when at the age of 12 I started doing the readings at Mass in my local church. And on any given Sunday I did not know whether or not the man who had sexually abused me when I was 8 years old would be sitting in the congregation, because he never faced justice and never will, because my parents were frightened of what would happen to me if they decided to put me forward in a courtroom, and how people would speak about me when I was the child who had claimed that a respectable man had done that to me, a respectable, upstanding member of the community. And that was a rational decision for them to make. But when I was 12, I decided to keep doing the reading at Mass, even though every time I crossed the altar and he was sitting there in the 5th pew, my skin would crawl with the knowledge that his eyes were on me, and I would have to grip the ambo that little bit more tightly to keep myself from shaking. And every time I did that, it was a small but incredibly important victory. And it was me taking back control of a situation that I had lost control of so many years before. And I lost my fear of public speaking, and I lost my fear of that man. But it took me many more years before I was confident to stand as I'm standing now and say that this is an experience that I had. And of course, I was frightened, because we live in a country where this is literally the only situation when our first reaction is not to put the kettle on and make a cup of tea and ask someone if they're okay when they start talking about it. But we treat them with disbelief, we disavow them, we attempt to discredit them. Because women don't really know what's going on with their bodies, and they don't get to decide what happens to their bodies, and they don't get to tell the truth about what happens to their bodies. And I think that going forward, 100 years after we recognised that the people who live in Ireland should get to make decisions about Ireland, it's about time we allowed the people who live in these weird sacks of meat that we all inhabit, that they are the only people who get to make decisions about those bodies. Thank you very much.